Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio, your home for organic Bible study that's artisanally made, fresh, daily, just for you. Today we're looking at Psalm 124, verses 4 and 5. We're still talking about the past. You know, we began yesterday talking about if the Lord were not for us when men rose up against us. We sort of reviewed yesterday some of those occasions when the men rose up against Israel. We thought about the Exodus account, the wilderness wanderings, their taking of the land, the time of the judges. Well, we could go on. During the time of the kings, men rose up against them. They called on the Lord. The Lord came in and delivered. It's only the Lord, ladies and gentlemen, that does a delivering work. We always have to remember that. The Lord himself is the one who does the delivering. We don't. He does it on our behalf because we are powerless to take care of that ourselves. And as a matter of fact, he delights to do it, even telling us in Deuteronomy 32 and in Romans chapter 12, not to take vengeance for ourselves, but to let the Lord handle that. Men will rise up. That's always going to be the case. There are always going to be scoffers who mock the gospel. There are always going to be people who mock the faith in the living God. There are always going to be wicked men and men of great power and great authority who despise the gospel and the message of the Bible. And you can see it happening in our day-to-day. Leave them alone. Don't worry about them. You know, the Lord will take care of that. You just need to trust in him, because if the Lord were not for us, then there's no hope anyway. We come today to verses 4 and 5, and let me read those for you. Then the waters would have overflowed us. The river would have passed over our soul. Then it would have passed over our soul, the waters of the insolent. Notice that language there, the insolent. So we know what these waters are. They're not just men who are rising up against us. These are people who are insolent. They are against that which is holy. They want their own way, and so they have their own devices, and they're going to do what they want according to their will, and they're going to disregard the will of the Lord. And notice how water is used here. The water would have overflowed. The river would have passed over. Water is often used as a metaphor for men and the lives of men and the power of men. And you know the water, when we talk about it passing over, overflowing, it's you know water, when there's too much of it, can be a devastating force. You just look at recent events in our history and at past events in our history when floods came. I just was thinking recently about the flooding in West Virginia. Whole cities who were in the path of the flood wiped off the face of the earth, buildings lifted from their foundations to be found no more. And so it just erases whatever is in its way. That's the power of this insolence that the people of Israel are facing. And notice there's an interesting reversal here in verse 4. The river would have passed over. That word that's translated passed over is often used in respect of passing over the river, over Jordan, over whatever stream or brook the Scripture's talking about. When we have a water source or a body of water being crossed, forded in some way, bridged in some way, this particular verb is often used, not every time, but a lot of times. Well, now, instead of us fording or crossing or passing over the water, the body of water, we have the river passing over our soul. So the soul of the individual, the spiritual life of the person of Israel is in jeopardy, but not because the Lord's on their side. He's in them and among them. So the waters of the insolent, well, they may think they have an advantage, but they don't. They are only insolent, and God is on our side. Join me again tomorrow. We're going to look at verses 6 and 7 and skip now to the present on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.